Okay, so let's start and be quick. I'm Joao Damas. I work for APNIC Labs. There's 3 of us, mostly Jeff and I, and sometime from George Michelson, which I think everyone knows. In particular, this work was done by George, but he couldn't be here, and apparently lightning talks have to be in person. So as some of you might know, we have what we call a collaborative research agreement, where we gave out some addresses to an organization called Cloudflare for them to run services on them in exchange for some data that we use at APNIC Labs. Some of you may have used or know about the Open Resolver at 1.1.1. So we, as part of this collaborative agreement, we get a feed from their resolver. We ask them not to provide us with any personal identifiable information. We don't want or need that for anything, but we still get a lot of data. In fact, we haven't presented anything about this earlier because it was just too much data for us to cope with. But now we can. And so we have put up some new data feeds, and graphs on the stats.labs.apnic.net website, and I wanted to talk about those. Unlike the experiments that we usually talk about, which are active experiments where we actually instrument queries going out, this is passive. This is just observing what goes on at this resolver. The feed that we get is, for instance, query names that appear from clients to that resolver. We don't see what the resolver then does, but that's fairly easy to replicate. So there's basically 2 categories, one around NXDOMAIN, which we wanted to look at because the root servers normally have statistics about how many of the queries they get relate to existing domains or not. And the other one is DNSSEC. So relating to NXDOMAINs and what is delegated and not from the queries the 1.1.1 gets. That's the general graph. There is a URL there. If you want to have a better look, closer look at it, you can go there and observe. The idea is to continue publishing that forever. So as I say, 90% is around the figure, around the number of queries that have answers, hovers. And this is sort of the same information, but in table style and broken, aggregated to TLDs. So under the .com, how many queries come and are for domains that exist and for domains that do not exist. This, for instance, incidentally, that data is in the same page. Just scroll down and you'll find it there. Some other data points that people have had concerns about in the past and that we can observe from this data feed are the Chrome, the domain generation algorithm names that they get out to see if anyone is messing with the client's DNS. And at least at this resolver, the percentage of queries that are related to that is around 0.2%, varying a little bit up and down. So continue to be present, but doesn't seem to be a significant signature. Moving on to signed and unsigned domains. So we usually get a lot of statistics about inside each TLD, how many of those domains that are published in the authoritative servers are covered by DNSSEC or not. But what is harder to come about is actually getting a picture of the domains that people care about, the ones that get queried. How many of those are actually signed, and what's the real impact of DNSSEC in terms of covering people's browsing and other DNS-related activity? And, well, it's a bit sad because the level of queries that generate responses that are covered by DNSSEC is tiny. Tiny is a good word for it. Is again the same stuff as previously. The table is on the web page, and the URL is on the previous slide. The reason there are 2 things, two ways to look at those tables, and there is one parameter that you can change in the query, because if you look at the number of queries that are covered, generate responses that are DNSSEC signed, turns out that of the tiny amount that are, the vast majority are actually under ARPA. And in particular, IP6 ARPA and INARA.ARPA. So basically, because the RIRs have traditionally taken to sign the reverse delegations, which they handle for the IP resources that they have allocated. That seems to be the vast majority of queries that are covered by the DNSSEC. And from then on, there are specific names. You'll identify some of the resources there, and how you can see also how individual people have effect. The Salesforce name shows up there as a recent effort that is well covered by the DNSSEC, and so on. You can look at all this data on the stats.labs.apnic.net, but since it's not indexed, you'll have to refer to the URLs that are on this presentation for the time being. We'll then later on we'll incorporate it. And that's it. Thank you very much.